Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar with Brad Adams. For those who don't know Brad is the president and the CEO and the chairman of Qvinci, which is a company that's entirely focused on bringing financial visibility and clarity to both franchises and multi-unit systems in large. Also, super interesting, Brad has this unbelievable history as a lawyer and has more than 25 years leading legal teams, boards, management teams, all of that. So it's going to be a great chat with Brad today. We're going to be talking about financial transparency in the franchise space and why it's so important in the franchise relationship. So, Brad, super excited to have you here. Thanks for coming on the webinar.
Well, thank you, Gary. I appreciate it, and thank you for that nice introduction. It's been a journey over at Qvinci, and I've enjoyed it. I'm a serial builder, so to me,
Yeah.
the fun is figuring this stuff out. And Qvinci is going a long way in trying to help, like you said, franchises and multi-unit organizations figure out how to way to win together.
Yeah, I love that. So before we get into the financial pieces, would love to just ask you to give maybe a 5, 10 sentence introduction to your experience, the legal background quickly, and how you made your way into the current business and at the helm of it.
Well, surely, I graduated law school at Georgetown and I was in tax law, and I got back to New Orleans, and I didn't really gel well with tax law. Became a litigator and did trial work, a lot of jury trials, and did that for about 8 years, and then went into the oil field in my father's company and took over that with my brothers. We sold that in 2009, and then I was under non-compete. I was looking for something to do. I met Charles Nagel, our founder, and I'm going, wow, there's a lot of blue ocean here. These franchises, multi-organizations, they're not doing anything together. They're just floating out there separately. And this is a great opportunity. And Charles invented and we patented the collection, consolidation, mapping of the data, which is the foundation of everything we're going to talk about today. And so I came on Qvinci, and Charles did the tech, and I did the business end, and here we are today. I know it's kind of a weird path, but sound business policy and good conservative governance in a business applies to the legal world. It applies to the oil field, and it applies to a SaaS B2B.
Yeah,
Uh, you know,
absolutely.
it's been a learning process to me. I give you that, but it's been a lot of fun, and we're just now really starting to hit our stride at Qvinci, and built a great team of people, sales, customer success, marketing, tech. We're making really big inroads in the AI area with our partnership with you guys, and trying to figure out a way to answer people's problems quickly and directly. So that's kind of my path. I know it's a weird path, but it's been a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Super interesting. I mean, the all the legal transitions and the pivots, I love it. I think it's fascinating. And I know a few folks that are lawyers turn business and they're always fantastic business people. So kudos. I think it's a well suited background. So before we get into kind of the solutioning and all the AI and everything that's super exciting, I'd love to just understand the problem itself, right? And it's something that you sit really close to, but this idea of financial transparency. Why is that so difficult for franchise systems historically?
Well, let's take franchises, and this applies to all multi-entity organizations, which are really a group of small to medium businesses. Okay, and historically, you have the parent, the franchisor, and then you have these independent business owners, the franchisees. Okay, who are doing their thing. They're plumbers, HVAC, uh, um, um, dog walking services, tugboat services, you name it. And they're out there, you know, managing their business. Well, there's this whole aspect of the financial aspect of a business that you really need to focus on. And, there's been this, when I first got to Qvinci, one of the franchisors said, Brett, how are you ever going to get franchisees to do this? Okay. And it's that big brother, the kind of syndrome. And I said, we're going to solve this challenge because we're going to make the tools desired by both the franchisor and the franchisee. It's going to be a shared asset, not a regulation or something in an FDD. It's going to be, we want to do this because we both get something out of it. We both can use benchmarking, ranking, cash flow, all those things like that we share this data, so we can all win together. So the first thing you got to do is you have to get, we call either mapped or normalized data, and I'll explain that. You can't just take the data from 1,000 different accounting systems. Everyone name things differently. They do things differently. You have to map everything, both financial and non-financial data, to a standard chart of accounts or some standard, so we can have apples to apples comparisons. Because if you don't, you're going to have garbage in, garbage out. Okay, and that was one of the initial problems people had is, how am I get good data? Well, you don't have to worry about policing every franchisee because Qvinci's a solution does that for you. And once we map that data to a standard chart of accounts, then you don't have to do it again. It happens every night when your data is synced. So you have that good foundational data. Then you got to make, reports and business intelligence that are both good for the franchisee and the franchisor. And we call this, Gary, the push pull paradigm. Okay, we want to create business intelligence that's easy to use, that pulls the franchisee into the relationship with the franchise business coach, and we want to create business intelligence that pushes the franchise business coach to reach out to the franchisee and say, hey, let's meet and talk. And so we started with this idea that franchisees are not finance guys. Okay. They're not McKinsey. They're not from McKinsey. Okay. So, but you know what they do understand? Green is good. Red, we got to talk. So you make all of your business intelligence follow that general paradigm that if it's green, you're doing great. If it's black, don't worry about it. But if it's red, find red, fix red. Okay. And this is the first part of our journey toward of machine learning or artificial intelligence. And our partnership with you guys are going to bring that to the next level. Uh, so when you have this simple KPI scorecard or any one of our business intelligence, that let's say you're a HVAC guy. Okay, you got 3 franchises. You know, you look at that KPI scorecard and you got 5 red areas. I schedule a Zoom call with you. You're my franchise business coach. Hey, Gary, I got 5 red areas. Let's find those. And fix those. You can click straight through, all the way through from the KPI score to the general ledger, and find out where that came from. Find it, fix it. Let's say, for example, your cost of goods sold is up 20% over last month. Well, let's fix that. Let's not worry about consulting, which is fine. Let's not worry about other things that you're doing final and relative to your peers. Let's focus on those areas that we can fix. And then you, as a franchise business coach representing the franchisor, you schedule this, okay, Brad, we're going to work on these 5 areas. Let's set a call next month on 45 days or what have you. And let's see how we can work on that together. And you can set, and get it together, put it on a Zoom call, share your screen, look at oh, well, you know what? Last month, your cost of goods sold was red, down 20%. This month, you're back even with your peers. You've solved the problem. Let's go to the next. So it's all about building that shared assets. And data should be viewed as a shared asset, not a rule, not a requirement, not Big Brother overreaching. And that's been our goal at Qvinci, is to really drive that home. We've taken one of the most old line franchises, Service Master, okay, which we had a big problem with that, and now they're all on Qvinci. because their franchisees understand. We had another franchisee that wanted to quit Qvinci last summer, and their franchisees revolted and said, "Hey, if you don't do it, can a bunch of the franchisees get together and we buy it?" Okay, so we got everybody together, and they stayed on Qvinci because
Let me
okay.
no, let me ask you something, right? And I've been holding this question for a second here, but help me understand the paradigm between value and trust, right? And I don't think they go one and the same in the sense that you said that the thing that's foundational to the way that you have built Qvinci is that there's value for the franchisor and value for the franchisee. But also in my experience, there's this hesitancy on the franchisee to share data, even if it's going to help them, right? They know it's going to help them, but that big brother aspect, that thing that maybe is just a little bit of distrust, right? And that still is harbored or is there where they, even though there's value, they might hold the data. How do you guys think about that? How do you build consensus, or is that not an issue and I'm just making things up? Which maybe I'm just curious on that distrust piece and dissecting that a little bit more.
No, you're not. I think it's becoming less prevalent today because the more value you give someone, the more they're going to trust you. The less value you give them and the more rules you give them, and the less trust it is. And as I said earlier, when I first got to Qvinci, is how do you get franchisees to do that? We don't hear that much anymore. We still do, but we don't hear it. One of the things we do at Qvinci is we have a playbook to onboarding. And onboarding the customer is the most critical part. We don't just like link and sync your files and say, "Hey, Gary, press here, click here, you're in Qvinci, good luck." Okay. We get the stakeholders, maybe a franchisee advisory committee. You get your early adopters, the influencers in the franchise community, and you get the franchisor. We have separate meetings. We have separate meetings with the finance team, the operations team, the franchise business coach team, which I know you do a lot of work in, and try to get some franchisees as well, and onboard them and teach them and try to find out what are their pain. The old saying is you never sell features, you sell solutions and to people's problems. So when we onboard people, we onboard them to coach them to the value of Qvinci, and we also coach them that we're not changing your underlying accounting solution. Okay, you continue to run the business any way you want. All we're doing is collecting the financial and non-financial data in the cloud, manipulating it so everyone can use it. Okay. And when you explain to people that we're not going into your QuickBook files and making changes, we don't have authority to do that. We're just grabbing the data. And so we can make that the business intelligence. One of the things that we're doing today is like I said, we're really trying to educate the franchisee that this is really shouldn't be about trust. Quite frankly, if you got a trust issue, you may not be in the right franchise. You really should, if you're going to be figure out, the trust part early on. And we've been very successful in doing that. And quite frankly, I think that it's becoming less and less of an issue. We're onboarding one of the oldest uh, franchises in America right now. This is old line, and we're going through this problem right now. And what convinced the champion to move forward was our onboarding process. Most companies, Gary, are outsourcing their customer success to a foreign country and doing chatbots. Qvinci is investing millions in customer success professionals that know how to talk numbers, that onboard you and guide you through the process. Everybody has a customer success agent and an account manager. And we're going the opposite way. It's very expensive. Okay. But to me, I view Qvinci as a service business as much as a software business.
So let's 100%. I get that, right? And I think there's a great speaking of that. Good deployment of good software also teaches people how to those teams, those franchise teams, how to use it best, right? And I keep coming back to what you said around the red, green, black, right? Kind of how you're guiding the conversation between the franchisor, likely the coach, and the franchisee. What does a healthy version of that accountability look like? Qvinci's informing a conversation, but then once the franchisor is talking to the franchisees, you're facilitating these conversations. How should a franchisor be using that in the conversation in a way that creates accountability, not necessarily compliance or something that's a slap on the wrist, but something more collaborative?
Well, it's in line with that push pull paradigm we talked about earlier. It's providing a piece of business intelligence to the franchisee. Just send it to him. Right now we're working. It's almost finished. We're working on a way that you don't have to wait for someone to come on Qvinci and build a KPI scorecard or a cash flow report or whatever. All right, you can set emails to your franchisees and send them the documents. Okay. And what will build trust, we believe, is the franchisee not have to go in there and not have to build a report or load it or hydrate it. He just gets it. He looks at it and says, wow, this is great data. Why am I 20% below my peers? Why is the guy from Poughkeepsie, New York, making more money than me? Okay. Well, let me contact my franchise business coach and say, you contact him, hey, I just saw this KPI scorecard and, I'm way behind. Can you help me figure that out? Okay. And I think it takes time. You got to build that relationship. And then you have some wins. And then the franchisee, he goes to the franchisee conference. He tells a few of his other franchisees, I've had a great relationship with Gary at my franchise business coach. Man, he helped me figure out, the five things that were really affecting my bottom line. And now I'm beating my peers or meeting my peers or slightly beating them. And his other franchisees say, well, maybe I ought to give this a shot. Maybe this is not Big Brother overreaching. Maybe this really is we're better together a scenario. So it doesn't happen overnight, Gary. It takes time. But the real thing is and what Qvinci was founded on, making clarity out of complexity, taking thousands of QuickBook files or accounting files or NetSuite or whatever, and make that data into some business intelligence that anybody, financial. That's our tagline: financial insights anyone can understand, and that's the whole point. Because we don't represent um, finance guys. We represent groups of small business owners who know how to provide the goods and services they provide and need a lot of help on the finance side. So if we make it so simple that you can, find red, fix red, I think it takes. One of the things that some of the franchisors do, and we go to these a lot, is when you have a conference, maybe you have a conference with a bunch of franchisees, Qvinci will send someone over there to give a talk and go over all these tools and meet the franchisees, put a face with a human face with a human face, and really try to convince them that, hey, this is not Big Brother. This is a service your franchisors provide to you to help you get better. It's like the three pillars, and I know Joe has probably talked to you about. We did a survey of about 600 brands last year, a year and a half ago. And the three pillars of franchise financial management. Pillar one, the data, the foundational pillar. You got to have it. We call it Qvinci data because it's data that's collected, consolidated, and mapped to a standard chart of accounts so you can use it. Pillar two, coaching for performance. Pillar three, brand compliance and expansion. Think about it. Get the data, help your franchisees perform better, keep everyone in compliance with your rules, and sell more franchises. What could be simpler than that? That's the goal of every franchise. And that's every tool that Qvinci is building right now has to fit within those pillars. We just had our roadmap meeting yesterday when I was in Austin. And every time someone said, I want to build this, I said, tell me the pillar it solves or betters. And everyone's got it now. They're not going to show up in a meeting without that answer. because if it's not going to solve those pillars, okay, it's going to go in the secondary pile. We have to solve those pillars because that's what franchisors want. And your group and AI come in and you guys make the answers simpler to get. Like, I'll give you an example. Today we have what's called level 3 reporting, interrogate. We have level 1, level 2, level 3. Inquire, interact, interrogate. Interrogate allows you to open up any business intelligence tool, and click a button and drill down. Let's say, for example, your cost of goods sold is down 20%. You click the button, it's going to open up where to go find the answer to that problem. Okay. And it's only going to be a few places. It could be your top 10 expenses, could be P&L. And then from that, you can drill all the way to the general ledger. Yeah. The next phase of this is going to be, why is your cost of goods sold down 20%? And the answer is going to be because you spent too much money on consulting and Federal Express charges. And then you click the button and go and go show it. So that's the evolution of this is we're still going after the same problems. We're just going to get very, very targeted on providing the answers quicker. And so I think you build that trust by winning.
I
And
love that.
and we start with the early adopters, the tech focused franchisees, and they talk to their people. And I tell you what, we still have problems with some franchises, getting their people on board more. But the newer franchises, the ones that start with making Qvinci and a particular accounting solution mandated, uh, especially the younger group, they understand that the shared data concept. The older franchises are more guarded, but I tell you what, we're on board the franchisees that was started like 1947.
Wow.
Like maybe 57. It's a 70-year-old franchise. So you cannot think of a more old school franchise. And we're having surprisingly good feedback from the franchisees. And I think it's all due to our relatively new onboarding process, where we get all the stakeholders in and have multiple training sessions to get them used to what it is. And our library is so easy to access now, and all of our reports, you can use them as is or customizable also, but they're in your library and they hydrate automatically every night. So you just go and click
Right.
them. So I know AI is a big thing, and it is, and it's going to revolutionize things. But you know, personal relationships are always going to matter. They're always going to matter because you got to have somebody to execute. You know,
Absolutely.
you can give us the answer on where the problem is, but you got to have somebody that's going to execute and fix that problem. I don't know if AI can do that yet. I welcome AI. We're 100% behind it, but we're going to do it in a very safe environment. One of the things I think is one of my fears about AI, and this well, is how do we maintain security of this very private data by using AI. I mean, if I took all my financials and put it on ChatGPT, where does that data go? Who has it? So, maintaining a secured environment where you can have inflows of data, financial, non-financial, but it ain't leaving, and it's going to
Yeah.
stay within the firewall. Is important.
Yeah, I could not agree that governance on AI and governance on more data security in general, even if it is AI or not, I think is absolutely important. Which is why you see all these companies being required to be SOC 2 and all of those. I did want to double click on one thing you said, and maybe this will be the last question we asked you here. It was about that roadmap, right? My ears perked up. How do you see financials becoming ever more present in the franchisor franchisee conversation? Or, how do you see maybe broadly financial transparency changing or evolving in the next few years?
You know, it all surrounds our three pillars. Okay. How do we get more data? And when I say more data, you know, uh, financial data is easy to get because we can all connect to an accounting system. But as I think Joe has probably explained to you, we're in a big push to get non-fi data. Qvinci's goal is to become accounting solution and data agnostic. So, getting more data in, mapped properly, so we can use it in business intelligence, I think is a good first step of becoming better. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a taco restaurant, and you want to know how much revenue your taco stand brings in. That's fine. Well, I want to know how much revenue I bring in for flour tacos on weeknights between 5 and 7. Okay, or I want it's really. I think the next step is going to just be getting more and more granular on the data you bring in, not just P&L, not just cost of goods sold, but each and every item of that cost of goods sold, breaking down and where I do it. That's what I think. That's where we're focusing on, is getting more and more granular with the data in those three pillars that we talked
Yeah,
about a minute ago: the data, coaching, and compliance and expansion. And that's how I see the future going: getting more granular on data and getting quicker with the answer.
absolutely. I love that, right? The idea that rather than starting at the P&L, which is an unbelievable place to start, but bringing that same level of analytical financial thinking down into segments and then maybe even into the granular, it sounds like even almost transaction level or maybe time based, whatever it is. I love that. Cool. Brad, this was awesome. I love this. I mean, you live and breathe the world of financials and technology in the mix of the two. Always our final question for our folks. If they have more questions about financials or Qvinci, what's the best way to get in touch with you or your team?
The best way to get in touch with me is send me an email, and Brad A at Qvinci.com. I'll be happy to get on a phone call with you or direct you to the party. You can check out our website at www.qvinci.com. We have a great website. We have a whole website specifically for franchises, franchise being one of our verticals, and would love to show you what we can do for you. And as I told a guy yesterday on a call, give me a chance. I won't let you down.
Yeah. If I can vouch for it. For those who don't know, Qvinci is a great product, great team. We've enjoyed working with you and your team for throughout the entire partnership. So, Brad, thank you so much for the time. Awesome as always. And we'll have folks reach out at your email. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Gary. Have a great weekend.
Yep.